Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 8th installment of the SEC Tavern Talk. We are joined today, I guess you could say, sort of in studio, by Kevin Briggins and JR. Not going to attempt your last name because I can't remember it ever. But JR is here as a repeat guest, and Kevin has his own podcast that you should all go check out on the Portiacan Media YouTube channel called The Crown. And he sort of inspired this podcast. So, yeah, go check him out. Theirs is a pretty solid podcast as well. We're excited to have them on. One is an Alabama fan and one an Auburn fan. So we should have some pretty exciting discussions this evening. And, yeah, without further ado, let's get into the recaps from this week. So, JB, take us away. Tell us about your Arkansas Razorbacks.
Well, we played the powerhouse of the Indiana Hoosiers, and we won 73-72 with Daniel Gafford putting in 27 points and 12 rebounds. Everybody's laughing. I thought we were discussing sports that we've been watching. Is football still going on?
Dude, we only discuss football.
Oh, okay. We're doing football. Okay, I've completely forgot about football, guys. Sorry. I had to do it, man. I had to do it. What's there to talk about? Mississippi State just completely demolished us, and which is why I put it away in my memory and decided to focus on basketball. So anyway, he'll give the score later. It was a lot to a very little. So move on.
Well, that's fair. James, let's hear about A&M's punter.
He actually didn't have all that great a game. It wasn't bad. He only got on the field to punt twice. So I mean, I guess that's a good and a bad thing. But Texas A&M came out of the gate swinging. They forced a fumble on the opening kickoff and had a scoop and score. So that was a great way to get started. Unfortunately, I missed it because they were playing another game on the same channel and finishing that up at the time. So by the time I came in, there were only 9 seconds off the clock, and we already had 7 points. Texas A&M put their foot on the gas, and they did not stop. They did a good job of balancing the pass and the run. They had 20 passes, 34 rushes. So, I mean, didn't get too many plays run that game in comparison to what we normally do. Had an okay pass game. Kellen Mond was barely above 50%, but he didn't throw any interceptions, had 192 yards and 2 touchdowns. Travion Williams had a pretty monster night, turned it all on in the fourth quarter on that last drive. But he had 20 carries for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also, notably, Kellen Mond did not turn the ball over once last that was last night. Didn't turn the ball over once last night for the first time in 3 or 4 games. So our receiver core did okay. The ball was spread around pretty evenly. Jay Sternberger continues to lead the race. Had 4 receptions, 85 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including a nice touchdown toss to the corner by Kellen Mond. And Kellen Mond was actually looking okay last night in spite of his completions and his attempts and completion percentage. As far as defense is concerned, we completely outmatched UAB. We still managed to let them get 20 points. But other than that, it was a pretty solid game.
Sounds good. JR, you got any comments on Auburn's massive win over Liberty University?
I'm with JB at this point, and I have moved solely on to Auburn basketball, which is in the top 10 in the nation. I expect Auburn to go at least one more loss this year, if not 2. So this Liberty win was good, but thank God we have a basketball team.
All right. Kevin, let's hear about Alabama's dominance over who did they play? Was it the Citadel?
The Citadel. Yeah. Dominance. I guess we
Second
call
half.
it after they
Well,
finally
the second half was dominant.
first half, it was very forgettable. 10-10 at the half. It was one of
I'm
those
going to
games
remember
where
that for a long time, man.
Yeah, you're playing the Citadel. It's a 11 a.m. kickoff, and the team just was not awake yet. Also, if we never ever schedule another triple option team again, I'll be happy. I mean, the same thing happened in 2011. We played Georgia Southern, and they ran for 300 yards on us. The triple option is very tough to prepare for in a week. So, we gave up 275 yards rushing to the Citadel. And the second half, we ended up turning it on. Tua was 18 of 22, 340 yards, and 3 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. We didn't run the ball that well, though. That was one thing that was kind of concerning. Damian Harris had 7 carries, 83 yards, but most of those 83 yards came on one long run. So it's one of those things you don't really know what to take away from it. You just kind of glad you just come out healthy, and that's what we were glad for. No major injuries. Damian Harris sustained a concussion. We were really concerned about Deontay Thompson, our potential first-round safety pick, and he was limping off the field pretty bad with a knee. Turns out it's just a bruise, but whether he comes back for the Auburn game or not, we don't know. But relatively healthy, and that was the goal to come out of. So outside of that, it was the Citadel.
Right. Well, good deal. I was going to ask you about Damian Harris, but I think you've answered the question, and he should be good to play against Auburn this week, right?
Don't know. Saban called it a mild concussion, but you don't know what the concussion protocol is, and him being clear about doctors. If I had to guess, I would say yes, but we have to wait and see.
All right. Well, Rob, tell us about Georgia.
Well, we had a pretty dominant game, and we played UMass, won 66 of 27. The 27 sounds a little bad giving up to a team like UMass, but the last couple of scores were with our backups who haven't gotten a lot of playing time, so it was good to get them in, get them some reps on defense. Gave up a flea flicker, whatever, trick play. So I think we played pretty well. Our offense was absolutely dominant. We had 701 total yards of offense, which is second most in Georgia school history. And we were 14 of 17 passing. Fields was 5 for 8 for, I don't remember what he ended up with. It was like 150 or so. Fields was 5 for 5, and our walk-on third string was 4 for 4 for about 48. So we totaled about, I think it was 200 and something passing, and then we had like 430 yards rushing. So all in all, we played really well, especially on offense. It was good to see Fields get in. He made some absolute dynamite plays that passed to McCole Hardman that was just perfectly placed, cannon of an arm. And also he had 7 carries for 100 yards with an average of 14.2 yards per carry. So all in all, a really good day. Kevin, I feel you on the triple option. We got Tech next week. We got to play them every year. I hate it. The worst part is I'm not worried about stopping them. I'm worried about we're used to it. I'm worried about getting hurt before we go to the SEC championship. Those cut blocks, that's what I'm worried about.
Absolutely. Cut blocks suck.
Yeah, they do.
I hate playing the triple option.
They do. My older brother was a lineman in high school, and he would come home after games, and his shins would just be bloodied from playing, little high schools around here, and they all run either a triple option or a double tight double wing or a split back veer or a Notre Dame box or some variation of that offense where it's just cut. And I feel your pain there.
We need as many healthy guys as we can playing against Bama.
No kidding. But Alabama survived against the Citadel, and I think Georgia will be okay. I don't know that Georgia Tech runs the triple option any better schematically than the Citadel. Better athletes maybe, but not any better schematically. LSU had actually a really good day. They looked pretty good on offense, especially Joe Burrow throwing 20 for 28. I was pretty proud of him. He threw for over 300 yards. I think that's the first time that's happened. And LSU's offense looked really good. Their defense looked solid. Again, I mean, they played Rice, so of course they looked solid. But I would like to point out that this is the first game all season that LSU's defense does not have an interception. So, Alabama didn't escape unscathed. Georgia didn't escape unscathed. It was Rice. I don't know what that means moving forward, but it means something, I think.
And just so I can throw this out there, they did cover, right?
No.
Did they not?
No, they were favored by more than 40 points, and they only won by 32.
Okay.
So,
well, still more than y'all gave credit for.
That's right. Because I remember saying I don't think they can score 40 points.
No.
Yeah, y'all all said
that. That was the Florida pick. I listened to you guys' show today. You guys said Florida wouldn't cover.
I said they would. Thank you. y'all got no confidence in our conference, man. Come on.
Okay. Before we move on, I would just like to point out that Clemson really is overrated. Syracuse proved it when they played Notre Dame. And, Notre Dame won that game 36-3. So let's move on. We brought our guests on to argue. And that's what we're do.
That's gonna be
JR, let's hear, why does Auburn have a chance this week against Alabama?
Miracles happen. There you go. The kick six. Yeah, miracles happen. I don't really particularly think that Auburn has a real chance to beat Alabama this year. I think that this Alabama team is going to be one of the top 10 teams of all time. If they manage to win out. So to say that our team, who is consistently flawed and running the ball and passing the ball, is going to be able to do much is just a hope. But I do have that hope. Football is a game that's dependent on a couple of plays of scoring. So we do just enough things right, and Bama does just enough things wrong, then there's a chance.
Right.
I just hope we score more points than the Citadel.
I don't know. They shut out LSU and Mississippi State back to back, and the only touchdown that they gave up was on a busted assignment on a triple option play. So I mean, Alabama's defense doesn't look bad, but here's hoping. Kevin, let's hear what Alabama has to do right to win this week.
Show up.
More than show up, they're going to have to pray, because Auburn is the luckiest team to ever walk the face of this earth. And I think every one of us can attest to that. In some kind of way, Auburn has won some game against us they should not have won.
Man, I don't know. Did you watch the 2011 season with LSU?
Yeah.
That was the luckiest team I have ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
Alabama missed 6 kicks in Tuscaloosa.
They did.
Man.
But people forget, with the Auburn kick 6 the week before, or 2 weeks before, against Georgia, they had the
Hail Mary
at the end. Yeah, I mean,
I don't forget that.
Hey,
I try hard to forget that one.
As Gene Chizik once said, after a Clemson win, it's a God thing. So,
yeah.
So here's Kevin saying that maybe Alabama is Goliath and God is on David's side.
There's a great movie, We Were Soldiers, with Mel Gibson in it.
Yeah.
And before he goes to battle, he prays. And he said, Lord, ignore their heathen prayers. And so that's what I'm going to pray.
I have often said, though, that I'd rather be Auburn lucky than Georgia good.
Ooh.
Hey, that's
Well, to that point though, I have always said I'd rather be lucky than good any day. So I'm cool with that statement.
That is true.
I mean, it holds water. Georgia just can't catch a break. They're too good for their own good. You know, they're catching passes on the 10-yard line that they should just let go by them, and their receivers are just too good. But yeah, I'm excited about that game, y'all. Excited, but and that was much less an argument than I was hoping for. I was hoping JR would come out, Mel Gibson and Braveheart style, freedom.
Well, I'm gonna throw something out there just real quick. I'm not an Auburn apologist at all. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that I can't stand Gus Malzahn, but my family is actually, or my wife's family is actually all Auburn fans.
War Eagle.
So yeah,
Sorry,
he knows my sister-in-law. But anyway, I will give you this quick statistic about the Iron Bowl. Alabama is 45-36-1 in its history. However, they played the majority of the games in Birmingham, but the games that were not played in Birmingham, Auburn is actually 16-9 outside of Birmingham, and they're also 7-4 in Tuscaloosa. So miracles do happen, guys. Miracles do happen.
I don't know how it is, but Alabama seems like a better team on the road every year than they are at home. I don't know why that's the case, but I think that's the case.
It comes down to focus. You go on the road, you're more focused. At home, you can tend to be more laxed. I do expect them to come out, and the line is 24. They came out today. The point spread for the game is 24 points. That's huge.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was looking at it, and while I think Auburn has a better quarterback in the passing game, Auburn's offensive numbers are very, very similar to LSU's and Mississippi State's. Mm-hmm. And neither one of those teams scored. So I'm not saying Alabama's going to shut Auburn out, but the offensive numbers are very similar. And we know Auburn has struggled to run the ball this year. Well,
who knows? They might try to adopt sort of a triple option style.
That's what I'm friends with Brandon Jacobs on Facebook. Played for Auburn, played for the Giants, and he called for the upset. And I said the same thing. I said, Auburn's practicing the triple option right now.
Well, with Gus Malzahn there, you can never tell. He may or may not be trying to run the quarterback.
I will say this: I'm have a lot of Auburn friends, and they're all very frustrated. Gus Malzahn is a very, very stubborn play caller.
Yes.
He's stubborn a lot of things.
I would say he's more stubborn than Les Miles.
He is. Mm-hmm. And I get the feeling he's going to come in there and try to run the ball, and it's just going to be bad.
He is not going to be able to dominate the line of scrimmage.
No.
Like that. No. That's the one thing. If you can control the line of scrimmage, you can run on Alabama. Right? And the Citadel proved that, with the cut blocks that Alabama players were not used to. They dominated the line of scrimmage in the first half.
Yep, they did.
I think if you dominate the line of scrimmage, you can beat anybody.
I was going to say.
No. I'm saying you can run the ball. The Citadel was able to run the ball. They couldn't beat Alabama though.
Yeah, man,
right, but it makes a valid point. I mean, controlling line of scrimmage is a very important part of football.
Yeah. If Auburn goes out there and completes all their passes, they have a really good chance of
I will say this. If Auburn is going to win this game, it's going to be with their defense.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
I agree.
It's going to be with their defense, and Alabama having some turnovers. We turned the ball over twice against the Citadel.
Yeah, that was weird. Like that was strange. It was like the Citadel came out and they were like, Alabama's not used to covering up the football. We're going to attack that. And they did successfully.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen that. They came out and forced 2 fumbles in no time at all.
I mean, no, people complain that the SEC makes kind of excuses for bowl losses and stuff like Auburn losing to UCF. But
national champions,
prime example.
No, I think that's funnier now than anything.
Yeah,
like it's just hilarious that Auburn could drop one to UCF.
But this past
I'm
Saturday, but you look at the Alabama Citadel game, the first half, it was a prime example of one team not enthused, kind of lethargic, and the other team excited to be there and just playing hard.
Well, that's why I always say those games at the end of the year against the UCF, if Auburn played UCF in the season, it wouldn't have been even close. Auburn would have destroyed them last year. Auburn was on fire. And then they drop the SEC championship. They were pissed. They were like, okay, our season's practically done. Why even play another game? And UCF took advantage of that. If Auburn's playing at their best, there's no way.
Absolutely.
I believe for certain that Auburn dropped that game to UCF as a means to allow UCF to claim a national title, just to upset Alabama fans more. Like, it's the greatest thing ever. We were
the greatest troll ever.
Yeah, we did our best.
Briggins, man, he's over there. Like...
Only problem, man, is you weren't just trolling Alabama; you were trolling all of the NCAA. I mean, we've all had enough of UCF already, man.
I love every second of it.
Hey, but guys, did you guys hear? They beat Cincinnati.
Yeah, man. That killer defense of Cincinnati that everyone talks
They
about.
have a slightly stronger strength of schedule than Clemson. Just slightly.
Get off your Clemson high horse.
I will not, man. I hate Clemson, and I'm tired of them.
I hate them too, but they're better than you're making them out to be.
They are Kentucky level.
There are 2 points here. Clemson is better than you making them out to be, but you're right about their schedule.
That's fair.
Pretty bad.
I agree. Their biggest win of the season comes against Syracuse, and Syracuse gets donkey stomped by Notre Dame.
You barely beat Vandy, by the way.
Stomped, man. Hey, seriously though, before we move on, I would like to point out the Vandy game. That was one of the most fun football games I have ever watched. Just a lot of fun to watch, and it was a day for not very fun football games. So that was a refreshing breath of fresh air. And what do y'all think about the? We didn't have any questions in the event, so what do y'all think about the call at the end of the game? Was it a catch or was it not a catch?
Wait, which one are you talking about?
Ole Miss and Vanderbilt.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I did not have the pleasure of watching that game.
Y'all didn't see it?
No, I saw the headline and I heard it was controversial, but it's Ole Miss and Vandy.
Yeah.
So
hey, it was a lot of fun though. Like, hey, I'm not saying that it was the greatest matchup of heavyweights ever, but the undercard is fun to watch, right? The undercard has some really good fights before you get to McGregor and Mayweather, right? This was a fun fight to watch. So yeah,
okay.
Vandy and Ole Miss, and I'm excited, man. I think Vanderbilt's on the way up, and I want them to do well. They're one of those teams that I've always wanted to do well. And James Franklin, he jumped shit, and yeah.
Well, you want them to do well because it's hard to hate them. They just suck
They're
so
so
bad
hard
every
to
year.
hate.
Well, they just suck so bad that it's like you feel sorry for them.
Except in baseball. Like in baseball, they're solid.
No.
Everything else, though, it's terrible.
That's not true. They have a great basketball program.
I hate them. I hate them in basketball because I hate their court.
Oh, I despise
court
their
bad?
court. I despise their court.
Oh,
It is
yeah, I can't
awful.
stand it, yeah.
It is the worst design for a basketball court I've ever seen.
James, can you look up a picture for that real quick?
Oh, I can tell you how it is. It's a
Whose
you have to
basketball court?
Vanderbilt.
You have to
Vanderbilt.
step
Right.
down to get to the bench. The court is raised up because it wasn't originally made to be a basketball court, and they made it into one.
Weird.
So the benches are on the ends of the court instead of on the sideline. And you have to step
I
down.
heard about that. I heard
Yeah.
about that.
It is the worst design.
That's mega strange.
Everyone hates playing there.
So
let's see.
we have a couple unanswered questions from the last podcast because I went on a tangent about Clemson, which I want to do, it seems. And I would like to go back. JB has those questions now, and I want to hit all the ones that we didn't get to answer because yeah, JB, what's the first one that we didn't get to answer while James is looking for that picture?
It won't show you much on the picture.
Go ahead and ask.
The picture won't show you much. You won't be able to tell much from that just looking at the picture.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I looked it up and it's not.
See anything?
I mean, you can see the benches on the ends, but
that's strange.
No. What I would like to take a look at later after we're done going over everything else is Alex Smith's broken leg, man. That was gruesome.
What? I missed Alex Smith breaking his leg.
Yeah, it was. He got hit pretty hard, got sacked in the game against the Texans, and it was like it. Yeah, you saw the leg snap on the replay. It was so bad they only showed it once. It was like a Kevin Murray.
He played for Louisville.
Yeah, that was
no. Kevin Murray, Kyler Murray's dad, who played for Texas A&M back in the 80s.
Who am I thinking of? Is it Kevin Ware?
Hello,
Kevin
Ware.
Yes.
Thinking of Kevin Ware.
Okay.
Why didn't we just say Joe Tosman?
No, I'm saying it's not even footage of that from the 80s. Like, why would you use that as a reference?
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure there is. And even if there's not, I've had it described in gruesome detail by my parents who saw it when it happened.
Yeah, the Joe Theismann injury you're talking about? Okay.
No. Well,
Okay.
yeah. Either way, we got to take a look at that video after we're done.
Hey, if you want to screen share it, like go ahead and load it up, and
all right,
when we finish the questions, we can watch that. And we're gonna.
I can show it
add
right now.
A warning to the beginning of it. No, not yet.
All right.
Let's hit those questions.
Okay. Since Sam is blowing me up about this on my text. Also, the rest of the country is up in arms about several SEC schools playing FCS or lesser opponents this late in the season. You know, the week before rivalry week. Do you have any problems with that? And if so, how do you fix it? That's from Sam Wallace.
All right, JB, if you want to kick us off, go ahead. I think we all have thoughts on this, but let's try to keep those brief.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's garbage. But that's mainly because my team is one of 6 that actually played SEC team opponents this the week before rivalry week. But I mean, I get that you play those schools and that's like their Super Bowl to play them and pay them the money to come to your place or whatever. But I mean, it's kind of like you're just warming up before your biggest opponent of the year, and it's just kind of like, dude, come on, just do a better job of that. As far as how do you fix it, I don't know, but I just think it's a little bit cheesy. What
about you, James?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with JB. Like, I mean, I don't really have a massive. Well, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. It's like, you know, if the FCS team wants to come up and get their big payday, you know, and have their time in the limelight, you know, and showcase some of their better players, so be it. But at the same time, I don't like the fact when you've got your Alabamas going and wailing on the Citadel the week before rivalry week. But conversely, you know, it's also they've been playing hard teams all season. Like, everybody likes to rag on Alabama's strength of schedule, and I would say this year it's not the strongest, but at the same time, you know, they're not playing nobodies. So I get that you want to have that game late in the season where you can kind of pull back and relax a little bit, not risk injury too much, not get too deflated right before you go play one of your biggest games of the season. But yeah, it doesn't sit completely right, but
and we lost him.
This is like good way to put it. You know, a good qualifier, you know, so that it doesn't get abused.
Okay, that makes sense. One thing I would like to say just really quick, the Alabama strength of schedule was bad, right? It wasn't good before LSU. So when I said in my arguments, Alabama has played nobody to this point in the season, I was serious. Alabama had played nobody to that point in the season. Like their strongest win was Clemson's strongest win to that point, and that was Texas A&M. So I wasn't convinced, and then they beat a top 10 team, did it convincingly on the road. And, the strength of schedule argument kind of falls after you start playing really, really good opponents. So the strength of schedule argument in my mind was to that point in the season, not overall. So wanted to throw that out there. JR, what do you think about the FCS opponents this late in the season?
I'm fine with it. That gives us a win. That gives me time to celebrate. We were bowl eligible. I get that we don't. I get those games aren't fun for us to watch. I do know though, as a kid, that was the game I got free tickets to, which is always positive for other fans to show up to the games that students don't want to go to or something like that. How do you fix it? Shorten the amount of games we had to play. Like, if you want us to not play the Citadel or Liberty, well, make us play 10 games. Like, why would we go out and schedule somebody else? And it's not like we're the Big 12 and everyone gets to play Kansas. So
that's my favorite answer so far.
Hey, I will say we did get the next best thing. A lot of us got to play Kentucky.
Oh my god!
Okay.
Stop.
Hey man,
Kentucky
they're the blue UK of the SEC, man. They're the blue UK of the SEC. That's all I'm saying.
Except Kansas is KU, so
That was it. I mean,
whatever.
Kevin, what are your thoughts?
To me, I don't know. I'm mixed on it. I look back at the history of the NCAA going to 12 games. Right, it used to be 11 game schedule. They went to 12. That 12 was just to give an extra home game. It was a money making game. It wasn't to add another big opponent, right? And so that all the SEC teams went out and added these FCS teams, and so did other leagues. And other leagues still play them. Just the SEC put theirs at week 12 instead of week 2 or week 3. So nobody complained when Washington State plays Eastern Washington, right, in week 2, but let Alabama play the Citadel in week 12, and all of a sudden it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Also, I thought it was very interesting that the SEC is the only one playing FCS games this week, right? So why was it a bad week of college football? Because the college football is relying upon the SEC, right? So they can't have it both ways.
And
they can't get mad. They're mad because we're not playing each other.
And the SEC still delivered in the Ole Miss Vandy game.
Absolutely.
Y'all just didn't stay up and watch it, apparently, which is your loss. Rob, what are your thoughts?
JV, they hate us because they ain't us. No, I don't have an issue with it because for me, like, I look at it as we play our own conference the whole year. So our strength of schedule, while we may play some up and down, we might play the bottom of the conference. We're still playing the SEC. With that said, I think it's good that we have those teams because of, like, what Georgia got to experience yesterday. We had 14 guys in the rushing column yesterday. I didn't even know – guys that I didn't even heard of. We're getting guys – and I'm pretty familiar with the guys on our team. So that shows you how much we let play. And so we're getting guys in that normally would – I'm not going to say they wouldn't play, but they wouldn't play like a high amount of time. And so I think that's good for these teams. And like Kevin said, these other conferences are playing, would you say Eastern Michigan or whatever. Those are nobodies, but they get on us for playing, UMass. And, I mean, what's the difference? It's the same stuff.
And I'll add this too. The Big Ten went to 9 conference games, right? But look at their games this week. You had Michigan play, Rutgers?
Indiana.
So Michigan's playing Indiana. Penn State's playing Rutgers. Ohio State's playing Maryland. Don't think they didn't schedule those games like that on purpose.
And right? Maryland almost
they weren't going to have Ohio State play Penn State before Michigan. So they're adjusting, even though it's a conference game, they're adjusting their conference games to benefit themselves as well. You know,
and it almost backfired because Ohio State almost
It
lost
did.
to Maryland.
It did. And as far as fixing it, the way you fix it is the SEC office would have to go in and change the conference schedules to all conference games that week and move that FCS or that open week to earlier in the season.
And I don't want that. Although next year
I don't
we're
want that
moving to
either.
14 weeks.
Ooh.
So we have 2 byes.
2 bye weeks.
2 byes?
Yep.
Okay. I'm okay with 2 byes.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it'll be different for every team, so it'll look a lot different. But, yeah, there are 14 across the NCAA, 14 weeks. So everybody will have 2 byes.
Right. Well, I'm okay with that. I don't think that this part of the system is broken. Honestly, if you wanted a 12-game schedule, then who wants to play Alabama this late in the season? Oklahoma?
Auburn?
Yeah, we do.
Legitimately, who really out of conference wants to play Alabama? Nobody. So Alabama pays this no account school $1 million to come and play them because they can't schedule anybody. Nobody wants to play them. That's why the big name SEC schools do this. You know, that's why Rice comes and plays LSU because LSU needs a bye week, and that's basically what it is. It's a glorified spring practice because nobody wants to play you. If you really want to change the system, then let the other conferences compete. Let them go and ask for it. Let them schedule games for what is this week 10, week 11?
We just had week 12.
Week 12. Then let them go and take the initiative because nobody's taking an initiative, and the only people answering calls are Liberty University and UMass. So.
Well, I always laugh when I see the signs that say "We want Bama" because it's a joke. Nobody wants Bama.
Nobody outside the SEC wants Bama.
Nobody in the SEC wants Bama. Let's be
and
real.
Another thing,
not this year.
I mean, in all fairness, I mean, granted, we played them week 4, so we hadn't seen them completely destroy everyone. But I mean, I did want Bama. Like,
okay,
I thought we had a solid shot.
LSU wanted Bama.
Okay, but you get my point, though. I'm making a point against like everybody, especially people like UCF, like saying we want Bama. It's like, no, you don't. It's just it makes you sound good, but you don't want them.
Right. They do not want Bama. So, you know, who's the ones really wanting to come out and to schedule LSU and Alabama and Mississippi State even? Who wants to schedule them? Nobody. So they pay teams millions of dollars to come and play them because nobody else does. And you know, it's a fun week for free tickets. So, you know, that's what it ends up being. And I'm not willing to give up the bye week before the Alabama game. Not going to do that. I mean, it's freaking Bama, and I don't like them. And you know what? I want Alabama every year, but I'm in conference. LSU is in conference. Show me the non-conference opponents that actually want to play Alabama and ruin their seasons. Because if Oklahoma comes to Tuscaloosa, what happens? If Washington State comes to Tuscaloosa, what happens? If Alabama goes to Washington State, then they still lose. So I don't know who wants to schedule these SEC teams this late in the season. So yeah, I don't know. And the question kind of frustrates me because people are making a fuss about something that isn't. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
JB, have we got any more questions? I think we can take one.
Yeah, we got some more. Well, actually, I'm gonna give you 2 because one of them won't take long. Jason Oxford asks, "Did LSU's Nick Brissett shave points?" Ashton asking for a federal agent.
We're talking about the Alabama game, apparently.
The Arkansas LSU game where he fell down on the half-yard line.
Oh yeah.
He didn't watch that game.
I just want to. I didn't, but I do want to say Jeremy Hill is not Nick Brissett, and Nick Brissett isn't Leonard Fournette. I don't know that he knows how to score a touchdown. So maybe he got there and there was an invisible force field, or who knows? I mean, I'm not going to pretend to know. He might have been shaving points. Who knows? Maybe he had a bet on LSU covering or not covering.
I think I know what it was.
No.
Honestly, with less than a minute left, I'm pretty sure coach just told him, said, "Look, just run the football and don't score." And they probably didn't realize that they were going to run the football for 25 yards every time they touched it,
right?
Because they're facing Arkansas, and so they get on the half-yard line. Oh, coach told me not to run it in, so I'll fall twice.
All right, a little self-deprecation here. I don't know that Nick Brosette knew what the coach said, so I'll say that. Having said that, Coach O is my favorite coach in college football. JB, what's the second question?
All right, the next question is this is everybody can answer this. Do you think Georgia will beat Alabama in the SEC championship? How close do you expect that game to be?
Can I go first?
Sure.
No. And it's not going to be close. All right, y'all can go.
Let's go with Rob on this one.
Oh, you want me to answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, what do you want me to do? Act like I'm in Candyland or Fairyland? Like, no.
I want you to give your points to the game and what do you think is going to happen, and then let the two people that aren't fans
to the game.
Well, so I don't think we're going to win, but I'm not as quite extreme as Ashton, though. I mean, there's a chance we get blown out, but I do think I am encouraged by the fact that our offense is starting to move more and more. I think it's getting better. I think we're starting to click, but so I do think it's possible that we keep it close. And I'm not going to say it's impossible that we win, but I just don't see it happening. I wouldn't bet on it or anything. So, if you ask me, I'd say Georgia's going to lose, but which I don't pick against my team very often. So, Alabama is just dominant. Tua is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. Huge talent. Love his story. I mean, they're just good.
Yeah.
So
freaking. All right, James.
Yeah, no, I agree with pretty much everyone. I don't think Georgia's going to win. I honestly think Bama's probably going to win by 17 or 21 points. I don't think it's going to necessarily be close. But just to qualify that, Rob, who did Alabama lose to again this season?
Who did Alabama lose to?
I mean, sorry, not Alabama, Georgia.
I was like LSU.
Yeah, okay. And you saw what Alabama did to LSU. Who's Georgia's strongest win this season?
Doesn't matter, to your point.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly.
To that argument, though, I will say matchup to matchup is a little bit different.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Matchup to matchup is a little bit different. But, I mean, Alabama just absolutely wiped the floor with LSU at home in Death Valley in what is supposed to be one of the most intimidating places to play.
I mean, you asked my answer. What do you expect me just to completely dog my team? I'm not going to do that.
Well, no. I mean, I did want an honest answer as to who you thought their strongest win this season was.
Oh, probably okay.
Gotta be.
No, I honestly don't know. I honestly would say Florida. I mean, I think I was there for that game. I mean, I think it was – see, the thing about it is everybody dogs Florida. They're really not that bad. Franks has struggled a lot, but their backup quarterback is good.
Hey, I mean, I haven't been dogging them. I picked with you.
Just laughing at Ashton.
Yeah.
Florida beat LSU. So, Ashton,
that's all. Ash is like, amen.
Yeah.
Rip off that Band-Aid again.
But I think that was our best win because the game, we took over that game, but I think it was
Right.
Like for a while, it was a good game. Like it was a competitive game. Florida just made too many mistakes and we capitalized. But
All right. Well, I think that'll take it for the question segment. We're kind of running out of time, but I want to spend
per usual.
I want to spend a little bit of time talking about this week's games. Like I want that to be a pretty large section because it is rivalry week. I knew I would struggle with that, and I did.
Rivalry week.
Rivalry. But we have some of the most interesting matchups of the season coming up, and I'm excited about it. I don't know about y'all, but let's start with one of what is my favorite game to watch all season. That is the Egg Bowl. Who are y'all taking in the Egg Bowl? Mississippi State travels to Oxford, Mississippi to take on Ole Miss.
I got State in this one.
All right.
Yep, Mississippi State big. Won't even be close.
Big. Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
I mean, we know Mississippi State's defense is for real, and as well as Ole Miss's offense is. Look at them against Alabama. Look at them against LSU. They struggle in both of those games. Mississippi State is going to bring pressure, and then we know Ole Miss can't stop the run. What does Mississippi State do? Run the ball. So I just don't see any. It's just a bad matchup for Ole Miss. I know it's a rivalry game and anything can happen, but it's just not a good matchup.
Fair enough.
James, what say you?
Yeah, I got State in this one. I mean, we beat Ole Miss. We lost to State. State actually did a little bit better than LSU against Alabama. You know, I mean, they've got a solid.
Not really. No, not really. Not really.
All right, however you want to see it. However you want to see it.
Tua out, and the score reflected it.
Right.
But to my point, they played LSU hard, and they've just got a solid defense that I don't think Ole Miss is going to be able to overcome.
JR, what do you think?
I don't know how Ole Miss has a win this whole season. I've watched them play a couple. They look awful. Even when they win, they look awful. I expect Mississippi State to win by say like 14 plus points.
Oh, more than 2 scores. Rob, what you got?
It's funny. I used to say that same thing about Ole Miss, and then it bit me in the butt when I picked against them several weeks ago. I got State as well. I don't think it'll be, too big of a victory, but I do think that State's going to win that one.
All right, makes sense. I also have Mississippi State in a close one. I think that, schematically, Ole Miss doesn't match up super well with Mississippi State, rather. But you know the what are they? The Rebel Land Shark Bearcats. They have some fight left in them, man. They're fighting for their lives. This is either the last game of their season or it isn't. So this is like a playoff game for them. They are playing for bowl eligibility. You know,
aren't they like suspended from bowl play?
They are.
They are.
Oh yeah.
They're not playing for a bowl game.
Well, then they have nothing to play for, and it's a bigger win than I thought. So, let's go to the Arkansas and Missouri game. JV, how does Arkansas pull off what shouldn't be an upset, but it is?
Because Missouri does not have a defense at all. So the same way that we really should have beaten Ole Miss, we just kind of let it slip out of our fingertips. I mean, we had them up by 17. I think we go in with a chip on our shoulders after getting curb stomped, and I really don't think we're going to win, but I really hope we do. I'm going to pick Arkansas, but I think it. We'll see. I think our quarterback is really good. I think he really is trying to prove something, even though he gets hit every time he touches the football, like within half a second. But I think he's trying to prove something because he knows that KB is coming next year and he's not going to be starting anymore. But anyway, let's go.
All right, James.
Yeah, I completely agree with JB. I think Arkansas probably shouldn't win this game, but I do think that they've got something left in the tank, and they're going to lay it all out there. And I'm definitely picking Arkansas this week. Mizzou is nobody to shake a stick at. They played Kentucky down to the wire, and Arkansas has been playing like trash this season. But
Right, but isn't Kentucky trash? I mean, I remember somebody saying that.
In comparison to how everybody had them rated, yes, they are trash. But in comparison to the larger scope of things and all of college football, no, I don't think they're trash. I just thought they were way overrated, which they were. So, but regardless, yeah, no, I think Arkansas is going to come in, lay it all on the line, and I do think they've got a solid shot at eking out a close win in this one.
All right, JR?
I'm gonna go with what did I say about Ole Miss? Like just multiply that by 10 for I do have on good authority though that Arkansas's head coach is the guy who recruited Deshaun Watson, right?
Yeah.
There we go. So one day Arkansas might be good, but it's not going to be Saturday.
But it is not this day. There's the brave heart. But, Kevin, how do you see this one playing out?
I like Mizzou. Where's the game being played?
It's at Mizzou.
It's at Mizzou.
Oh, I think Mizzou by 2 touchdowns at least. Drew Lock is good. And Missouri's defense isn't that bad. Their front is pretty good. They're kind of suspect on the back end. So Arkansas is going to make some plays. Arkansas is going to score. But I don't see Arkansas slowing down Mizzou's offense. Right. Don't forget what Mizzou did to Florida at Florida.
Hey, I will never forget that. I cried a little bit on the inside. Rob, what have you
Missouri.
got for this?
Missouri. That's it. That's it.
Okay. All right. We'll move on.
Gotta keep it going.
I also like Missouri. Drew Lock is one of the better quarterbacks in college football, and I'm excited to see what the kid does.
Number 2 on all-time passing list.
Okay.
Behind
is that Kellen Moore?
Huh?
Is that Kellen Moore?
No, SEC. Sorry.
Okay.
Behind Aaron Murray.
Yeah,
Aaron Murray. Okay.
Aaron Murray's got 13,000 and Locke's at 11,000 something.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, Locke's a solid dude. I could see him legitimately going to the NFL and being another Stafford type player.
He just passed David Green. David Green was number 2, I believe.
Right.
And he just passed him. So I don't think he'll catch Aaron Murray. It's a little too far.
Yeah.
Unless he just
Aaron Murray
soars.
Look, time out. Side note. Why
right.
does Georgia have guys that play for like 6 years?
I don't know.
Nick Chubb was a running back forever, man.
No, he wasn't. Okay.
Legitimately, Alabama has like 2 quarterbacks this season, it seems like. You have John Parker Wilson and then A.J. McCarron in that same era. And then Georgia has had the same quarterback for 20 years.
Well, didn't A.C. Green play for Alabama for like 12 years?
Who?
A.C. Green. He was not A.C. Green. A.C. Carter. A.C. Carter played for Alabama for like 12 years.
A.C. Green was a basketball player.
No, A.C. Carter like blew his knee out like 4 years in a row. He was always on the sideline.
Yeah, he did. He got a medical red shirt and was there a little longer. Yeah, he did.
All right, well, that's fair. I mean, at least we don't any of us have a Brandon Whedon situation where our quarterback's 30. So we got that going for us.
Hey, man, you don't want to get down on a man for going back to school and getting a degree, man. That we want to applaud it. And then on top of that, he was able to make it in the NFL. So
I'm not down on him. All I'm saying is I don't want a 30-year-old quarterback playing quarterback for my team when they have to play.
I mean,
you want a 30-year-old man taking hits from Alabama?
First of all, he was 26. He was 26.
Seriously, dude, 30 is not that old. Thank you.
He was 26. Second of all,
he had no NFL
more
career.
Physically mature, more mentally mature, better decision making.
No NFL career.
I would take a 26-year-old over an 18-year-old any day.
You use whole team is 30.
What are you saying, Kevin?
I said BYU's whole team is 30 years old.
And they all have 6 wives too. So.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that that Tua, when he led the comeback in the national championship game, was a true freshman. Had played high school football before that, so he was tops 19 years old. Which
Fromm was a true freshman too, but
insane. Fromm
Chris
also
Winkie
is
won
in
the
this
national championship
same.
and the Heisman at 28. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are exceptions.
all right.
to it,
Anyway,
but
go ahead.
let's move on. We've got LSU and Texas A&M next. JB, by how much does LSU win?
Where's it at? Is it in Death Valley?
It's at College Station.
yeah,
It's at College Station.
Mhm.
Yes, it is. And ESPN favors A&M by 1.5.
I'm still going with LSU on this one, man. I think the defense gets it for them, and I think they're still pissed off about Alabama, and they,
Well,
they
in
take it out on them.
between that and depressed.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. There's a middle ground there. That's where we are.
But they like playing for Coach O, though.
There's that
so.
self-deprecating
Yes, they
again.
Yes, they do. James, tell us why you're wrong.
Hey, I'm not getting down on LSU. They've got one of, if not the best defense in the NCAA, or at least they did up until Alabama, castrated them and took their manhood.
Thanks for that.
But coming
But hey,
into Kyle Field, I think A&M is amped and ready to go. I think it's going to be a hard-fought, close game. LSU is going to force a few turnovers. I mean, Kellen Mond is the turnover machine, and we are ranking very low on the turnover margin list. Still hanging out. I think we're at minus 8 or minus 9 on the season as of right now. But I will say statistically, we do slightly outmatch LSU, and Kellen Mond is actually statistically doing a little bit better than Joe Burrow, which I was rather surprised at. So, I'm definitely liking Texas A&M in this one, 27-24-ish. I'm thinking. Travion Williams, he's got 22 more carries than Nick Brissett, and he's got almost 500 more yards. And they've got the same number of touchdowns, so I'm guessing Nick Brissett's more of a short yardage guy.
Yeah, he's the starting guy, but he should be second string. The second string guy is a better running back.
Okay.
Edwards-Helaire. I'm legitimately thinking he's a better running back. It's like watching Kenny Hilliard and who's the other guy? Darius Guice. It's like watching those two. It's like Kenny Hilliard is playing, but Darius Guice is going to overtake him at some point in the future. So,
and my last point, Jay Sternberger, our tight end, he's our leading receiver. He's got 42 receptions on the season, 729 yards, and 8 touchdowns to y'all's Jordan Jefferson. 45 receptions, 725 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Close. It's Jordan's younger brother.
Hey, it's okay.
All right, my bad. So anyway, statistically, A&M slightly outmatches them. They've been doing better at putting the ball in the end zone from the red zone, which they really struggled with early on in the season. And I think LSU is running out of gas while we're picking up steam. So, like I said, I like A&M by a touchdown or less. It should be a good game, good old Southwest Classics. Or not the Southwest Classic, but a Southwest Classic.
Sounds good. JR, how do you see this one playing out?
I think LSU is a better football team than A&M. So I'll choose the better football team, and LSU will win.
I like hearing that. Kevin?
What's up?
I can see this one going either way. This is how I look at it. You have two teams that are heavily dependent on the run game. They have quarterbacks that they'll want the quarterback to win the game. They want to be able to run the ball, and the quarterback just kind of manage the game and make some plays. With that said, to me, A&M has the better run defense. LSU is a more complete defense, and the secondary is way better. But when we're talking about just the front, A&M's front is nasty. And I can see being at A&M, LSU getting behind the sticks, forcing Burrow to try to win it with his arm. And so I would go A&M in a close one, mainly because of their phenomenal tight end and punter.
Hey, the
That's
fun
what I
is
like to hear.
Rob, who you got in this one?
I have the Tiger over Braden Mann.
Hey, yeah. I like it.
I had to, James.
Yeah.
I like it.
No, I
Picking
got
on the punter.
Tigers. I just
on the
had
punter
to for
in
James,
two
but
different
I
ways.
got LSU.
Sounds good. All right. I also have LSU. LSU is a more complete defense. They
JP.
they are no, but LSU has a more complete defense. They played what I think is the most run heavy team in the SEC. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's Mississippi State. And held Mississippi State to basically nothing, if not next to nothing. And A&M was incapable of doing that. I think that Burrow it has progressed throughout the season more than people give him credit for. So statistically, from weeks 1 through 5, he looked terrible. He looked like another Brandon Harris. But since then, he's really picked up steam. He looked really good in the Georgia game. He looked really not bad in the Florida game. He just forced a couple passes late and threw 2 picks. When the game was on the line, he did crack under pressure, but that was the first time he had been in that environment. So, I'm going to cut him some slack there. He beat Georgia by making 7-8 yard throws and converting in 3rd and medium to 3rd and long. So, I like LSU to win this one. They went into Mississippi State, won that game, and I don't think that Texas A&M has a drastically better home field advantage. So, I do like LSU to win this one. I think it is close. I think James is basically correct in that it's a touchdown or less difference, but I've got it going the other way. This being rivalry week.
Rivalry week!
Yes, we are moving on to Georgia Tech and Georgia. JB. Tell me why Georgia Tech can beat Georgia, please.
It's not going to happen, man. I got Georgia in this. And I think, the triple option may slow them down a little bit, but I think they find a way to overcome it like they do every year. When's the last time Georgia Tech beat Georgia?
It's been a long time.
It hasn't been a long time.
So,
They beat them in Athens like 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
I think it was.
Yeah.
I
don't
Georgia
know.
Tech is one of those teams that every once in a while they catch fire. And
Well, they've had good luck in Athens recently, but I don't think they will this year. I guess that just gave my pick. But
I mean, Georgia's defense is great. I mean, they've got a great quarterback, and I don't see it happening. Yeah, I got Georgia.
All right, no hope from you. What about you, James?
I mean, JB says every once in a while they catch fire. I think they catch fire more than he thinks. It's just not playing on fire. It's more dumpster fire. Nah. I mean, Georgia is hands down one of the best football teams in the nation right now, and Georgia plays in like Conference USA or whatever, I mean, so I mean, who am I supposed to pick? Like, of course, Georgia is going to win this one.
That's fair. JR, what say you?
I'm going to pick Georgia, but my heart just wants it to be a close, hard-fought game so Georgia can get their mind right to play Alabama.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. And obviously, y'all's is going to be a close, hard-fought game to get Alabama ready for Georgia, right?
No. We're gonna take the heart. We're gonna take the heart for Georgia.
All right, Kevin, what you got?
I'm going Georgia, but I'm going closer than people think. We know Georgia has struggled somewhat against the run at times this year.
Yeah.
They showed up big against Kentucky. I thought Kentucky game would be closer because Kentucky can run the ball and Georgia really stepped up.
And that game was in Lexington.
It was a
big
game
win.
I knew Georgia would win, but I thought it'd be closer as well. I kind of got the same thought process with this game. I could be totally wrong again. Georgia just steps up. But we've seen Georgia, like at LSU, struggle at times to stop the run consistently. Mm-hmm. And if Georgia Tech is running an option, basically what it does, it just eats the clock. So it's not that Georgia Tech can't stop Georgia on offense. I mean, Georgia's going to score when they have the ball. It's just how much can Tech keep the ball and grind that clock down and shorten the game up. So I think Georgia win, but I think it could be closer than people think.
All right, I like it. Rob, what say you?
Well, the point spread, I believe it's 17. I want to say we'll cover that, but I hate this game so much. It's so hard to know. Last year we came out and destroyed them, but I mean, like I said, they've had recent success in Athens, and we've had our stretches where we beat them 7 years in a row or something like that. We tried to make it 8, and they blew that. If I'm not mistaken, they beat us 7 or 8 years in a row at one point, but that was like before I was born. That was probably, God knows how long ago, But they do get their shining moment every now and then beat us. It's just, it's that rivalry game that you're never sure how it's going to go. So, and that, I guess, and again, that triple option is, I think we'll stop it, but it's you just never know for sure. Like I said, I'm more worried about the injuries than I am us losing that game.
Right. Yeah. Well, Alabama really did get pretty bruised up from their game against the Citadel, so that's a legitimate worry. But I think Georgia wins, and I think they win big. They get a comfortable lead and pull the starters. I don't see this one being close, especially with this game being in Athens. Man, the only time Georgia has looked really bad this whole season was on the road in Death Valley, and in Athens is a whole different story. Georgia's looked really good at home all season, and I don't think there's anything changing. The triple option is it's tough to defend, but Alabama made halftime adjustments, and Citadel and I think that
also,
Georgia went through the storm in the first half. So
also, Alabama's not used to it. Georgia plays Georgia Tech every year, so there is a little bit of advantage that Georgia plays that at least once a year.
Yeah,
right. But I think that Georgia makes the adjustments, and it's not a close game. JV, let's get your pick on the next game here. Let me pull it up here in just a second. I believe it's Florida and Florida State. Yes, we have Florida and Florida State. Who you got in this one?
Even though it's been a long time since Florida has beaten Florida State, I'm going to take the Gators in this one. Florida State is just a dumpster fire.
Yes, they are.
And I know dumpster fires, believe me. I know dumpster fires when I see them. I think Florida's going to take this one out. I think Mullen's got these guys. They're a great team. They had a fluke against Missouri. And they beat a great team in LSU. So, I think I got the Gators in this one.
James?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Jimbo leaving FSU kind of neutered him. And, they weren't doing super hot before he left, like right before he left. But, he just kind of, gave him a kick in the shin on the way out the door. So –
he left them with that offensive line.
Oh yeah, true. JR,
I'm gonna take Florida. Florida State is the Arkansas of the state of Florida right now.
I hate Arkansas.
No, I don't mind Arkansas. Like if Arkansas won games, I wouldn't be upset with it. But Florida's a better football team. I'll go with a better football team.
All right, Kevin.
I'm going Florida. Their defense is going to dominate this game. People are going to get because Florida State beat Boston College. Well, Boston College starting quarterback got hurt the week before against Clemson, so Florida State had to play the backup. They won by 1. Yeah, Florida's going to dominate this game.
I agree. Rob.
I got Florida. I think they're playing better right now. It's hard to tell because they, they played Idaho, which, like I joked about before, they need to stick potatoes and leave football to real grown men. But
put it like this: That game was so bad, it had no line. Vegas didn't even put a line on it.
Mm-hmm.
No, they
I
didn't.
noticed that.
Idaho is.
Yeah. So,
four out of here.
but I mean, Florida just needs to run the ball. I mean, try to limit Franks. I think they'll do fine.
So I basically agree with all of that. Let's move on to the next game. We're almost through rivalry week.
Rivalry week.
We have made it all the way to the Iron Bowl. JB, who you got?
Yeah, come on, JB.
Oh man, this is not the year, man. I don't see it happening. I think unless something crazy happens, like Tua goes down, which
Jalen Hurts goes out.
Hurts is already out, isn't he?
He played.
He played. Yeah, he played this week.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
And he was moving around pretty
stopped
good.
watching.
I mean, they said he came into the stadium in a boot, but they actually put him in the game, and he was actually moving around okay.
Well, Auburn has beaten Jalen Hurts before, like last year. But they, I don't see it happening. Bama's going to run away with it. It might be close for a little bit because it is a rivalry game, and I think Gus is putting a lot of stock in this game because this game is what got him a huge extension. But I don't see it happening. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, James.
Let me paint you a picture.
Oh my goodness.
Gus puts on a magic show. It's all smoke and mirrors and sparkles, and he comes to the big finale and he takes off his top hat and he says, "Now, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat." He reaches into the hat, and instead of pulling out a rabbit, he pulls out Nick Saban riding an elephant and gets trampled.
All right. Don't know how that all fits into a hat, but I like it.
How long did you stew on? Think over that one.
He's been working on that a
About
while.
30 seconds.
All right. Well, it was well presented. JR,
I like it.
who you got in Iron Bowl?
Okay. Let me put it out. This is the best in Auburn fan. This is the best part about being a little brother, right? If Alabama beats us this year, it does not matter. They could beat us by 63 points. And what happens? They beat a team that they were supposed to beat by 63 points. It's like when a girl used to show up to play basketball with all the guys, and the one guy had to guard the girl. You know, it's like if he blocks her shot, you block the girl's shot, and no one cares. If she scores on you, like everyone cares.
I've been there. That has happened.
Everybody has been there.
Yeah.
No, both scenarios. I've had that happen. I've had to guard the girl. I've had her score on me, and I've blocked her.
Yeah. So Auburn has done an amazing job this year at robbing Alabama of any joy of beating us in the Iron Bowl. So if we lose by 30 points, I'm going to turn the TV off. I'm going to say, I'm going to watch Auburn basketball this year. But if we win, it's going to be the talk of everything. So I'm not worried about it, and I think Alabama's going to win by 30 points.
Kevin, do you agree?
I agree. And we know it's a 24-point spread, and we know the matchup. It's not about that. It's about Alabama knows what happened last year.
Right.
And they're going to come out. Yeah.
And they're going to beat that 6-6 team. Whoa, big old Bama showing off.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They'll be 7-5 with a loss. So.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm so disappointed.
Rob?
Alabama wins next game.
All right. Then let's move on to the next game. I think that we're
serious,
all in
Rob?
agreement.
What?
That's. I'm gonna throw this out there.
Why do I
Just
need to
for
say
fun.
more?
Just for fun, I'm gonna throw this out there. That's gonna make 4 out of 6 mediocre seasons for the $30 million man. Go ahead.
All right. Let's go to the actual game of the week. These two teams are fighting for bowl eligibility. Tennessee and Vanderbilt. This game is taking place in Nashville, and I don't see a line.
There's not one.
All right. So then who do y'all have? We're going to assume it's even.
Yeah, it probably is even. They're both 5 and 6. They're both anyway. I've got Vandy in this one. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Vandy won last year in Knoxville.
Matchup predictors got Vandy 61.3% to 38.7.
Okay,
so it's roughly 60-40.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going with Vandy on this. I think they're a little bit farther ahead than Jeremy Pruitt in his first year, taking over garbage is what he had. Whatever. Yeah, I've got Vandy in this one.
James?
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
All right. So we got Vandy twice.
I'm the one-liner guy, James.
Yeah, JR, who you got in this one? Vandy and Tennessee.
I'm gonna take Vandy, but I want Tennessee to win to make that Tennessee loss look a little bit better.
Kevin?
In a matchup like this, I just go with the better quarterback, so I'm going Vandy.
All right. Rob?
Well, hell must be freezing over. This is my headgear pick, by the way. But hell must be freezing. Hell must be freezing over because I got a not so fast for you. I'm going with the Vols. I'm about as painful as I can be to say that. Like I may have a heart attack, but I'm picking them. So I think. I don't know what Tennessee did to Kentucky. I know James don't start. What Tennessee did to Kentucky, I just think as good as Vanderbilt's quarterback is and as good as – well, that's true. They have talent, but I think they've just gotten too beat up this year, if I'm being honest. I think – and the thing is about this matchup is – Tennessee just has a mental edge over Vanderbilt. Very rarely does Vanderbilt beat Tennessee. Jay Cutler, when he was there, he beat him his senior year. He beat him basically by himself. But it's kind of
and
an
probably
anomaly.
smoked 2 packs of cigarettes on the sidelines. But
and I don't think we talked about it. It's kind of the one game we didn't talk about, but Missouri beat Tennessee at Tennessee last week, 50-17. So we can look at the Kentucky game, but just last week at home, they got 50 put on them.
Right. I'm not saying they're good.
That did happen.
And if you listen to me at all, you know I grew up just south of Chattanooga. I've always despised Tennessee, but. So this is a painful pick for me. So,
all right. Well,
my dad may disown me, but
sitting while they're in your own misery there. I've got the most awesome uniforms in the SEC belong to Vanderbilt. In this kind of game, I am picking the best uniform. They've got the best color scheme.
Okay.
They've got the best uniforms. The helmets are just slick. Yeah, I'm picking Vandy to win this one. They've got something to prove. They won last week's game on a controversial call, and there's a whole bunch of people saying they didn't deserve the win. They didn't actually win that game or, what have you. And this win would put them into bowl eligibility, and this is their chance to prove that they're a legitimate program and to start trying to compete in the East. Nobody thought Kentucky would compete in the East, but here they are, and I think Vanderbilt is ready to make that next step, and I say that they become bowl eligible this week with a win over Tennessee. That being said, let's go on to our second to last pick, I believe. Yes, indeed. South Carolina travels to Clemson. JB, who you got?
Yeah, I've got Clemson in this, man. South Carolina's been a disappointment this year. I don't have much faith in old Muschamp, to be honest. I think Clemson's going to win big in this one.
That's fair. James?
I've got Clemson, but I don't think they're going to win big. I think maybe 2 scores tops.
All right. JR?
The way JB feels about Gus Malzahn is how I feel about Will Muschamp.
You said that.
Right. I hate Will Muschamp. I hope Clemson wins 70, 80, 90 to nothing. So I'm going to pick Clemson to win.
My goodness, that escalated quickly. Kevin, let's bring it back down a notch. What you got for this game?
Yeah, I don't dislike anybody in this matchup. I will say this though, for you to beat Clemson, you have to stop the run. That's one thing that people aren't realizing, that since they switched quarterbacks, they've been relying heavily on the run. It's not just Trevor Lawrence airing it out. It's that run game that has just been ridiculous since he took over. I don't think South Carolina can stop that run game. And so I'm going Clemson, no problem. So
that's fair. Rob?
Well, JR, I hate Will Muschamp too.
Join the club.
And he's from Georgia, so but I'm ashamed that he's from Georgia. No, despite the fact that he sucks as a human being and as a coach, I'm picking Clemson, and I think they cover. They're favored by 25.5. I just think that South Carolina was supposed to be what Kentucky was expected to be. Like, they were supposed to be the one that challenged Georgia for the East. They suck.
They suck. Yeah.
They do. All
they're
right.
6-4, but I'm surprised they're 6-4.
It's South Carolina. Like, of course they suck. Like, that's what they're known for. They have 2 11-win seasons in their career.
Except
Spurrier
for
had them rolling.
Yeah, I was gonna say except for
Spurrier had them
but
really
Spurrier's
good.
one of the all-time greats. So
They were beating
as much
Clemson
as I
every
can't-
year when Spurrier was there.
As much as I hate to say it, Spurrier's one of the all-time greats.
Now Spurrier is like one of the best coaches ever. He's just entertaining. So I'll maintain that Clemson is a Kentucky type team. South Carolina traveled to Lexington, Kentucky to play the Wildcats, and Kentucky beat them 24-10. I think Clemson's just slightly better, so I'm gonna take Clemson. 31-10. I say it's a 3-touchdown game. South Carolina is like the worst team that the SEC could put forward for Clemson to play, and it pains. Ole Miss legitimately matches up better against Clemson than South Carolina. I don't, man, it's sad. But Clemson rolls in this one, and it's not close. I'm saying it's a 3-touchdown game. JB, for our last pick of the evening, who do you have in the Kentucky-Louisville game?
Well, it's not as fun anymore because I can't talk trash about Petrino because he's already been fired.
Hey, legitimately, I think he's a worse human being than Muschamp.
He is horrible. Like, I don't even have that much. No, yeah, there's not even close. He's the most deplorable human being in the history of college football.
Kevin, why do you look flabbergasted?
Yeah.
I mean, y'all got to. What did Will Muschamp do? Y'all got to inform me. I know what Petrino has done. What did Muschamp do to be in this category?
I'll tell you what Will Muschamp did. He showed up to Auburn for 1 year, just put like the worst defense of all time out on the field, and then left to take a head coaching job at South Carolina. Thank you so much for making me watch that putrid defense for a year and then leaving to coach South Carolina. That's almost as bad as riding a motorcycle.
Kevin, okay.
Here's a little more to the story.
All right, let's get the picks for this week because this is going to derail very quickly. JB, who do you have in the game?
Oh, Lord.
Oh man, I've got Kentucky, man, and I don't think it's even close. I mean, this Louisville's defense is horrid. And they don't have an offense either. I mean, they're just bad.
It's okay to have a terrible defense as long as you have an Oklahoma offense.
They don't have. Yeah, they don't even have an ACC offense. I don't know what they have. They definitely don't have a Bobby Petrino offense because he's not the same Petrino that he was because his old scheme of switching out players all the time and motion does not work in this fast-paced college football environment that we're in these days. So yeah, he's old hat and he's not going to be the same ever again. Anyway.
All right, James, who you got in this one?
Yeah, I got Kentucky, man.
Whoa!
I mean,
that was fantastic.
Come on, man. I have to qualify it every time? I said I just thought they were way overrated. I didn't think they were a bad team.
To answer your question, yes, you have to qualify it every time.
Yeah.
All right, I will continue to until the end of this football season.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I think they've got a little bit of something there, and from what I've seen of Louisville, they're looking not super great. And then on top of that, they just lost their head coach. So
how is that a bad thing for them? That's the best thing they have going for them.
Well, I mean, if their head coach was that bad, what do you think their interim coach is going to do?
That's true.
Ask LSU. Their interim head coach can talk.
Man. It's awesome, man. I love Ed Ayers. He's great. You know, y'all can talk all the crap you want about how your coach is better or whatnot, but my coach is memeable. So forget all of you.
Come on, man. Like, Jimbo Fisher is like the Boomhauer of college football.
All right, let's continue.
And it's
here.
fantastic. JR, who you got in the game? Louisville and Kentucky.
When Alabama scheduled Louisville was good. So that leads me to believe that Louisville is still supposed to be good. I'm going to take Kentucky.
Okay, that's you know what? I like your reasoning. I don't follow it, but I like it.
That was a Corso spin.
I was just taking a dig at all the Alabama fans. I always say we scheduled teams and they were supposed to be good. So Louisville was supposed to be good.
When they scheduled them, they were good.
Here it comes.
Midway through, I'm throwing this out there. They were good midway through that season, and then they just got bad at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Anyway, like they've never had a complete good season. I'm still heading on Petrino. Go ahead.
I like it. But Kevin, who you got in this one?
I think it's pretty easy. If you've seen Louisville play, they gave up weeks ago. I mean, you watch them play, they are lifeless. Yeah. Kentucky's going to run for 400 yards. I mean, it's going to be
I think Louisville gave up when they saw the NFL team they had to play in week 1.
Hey, I have said that is why Lamar Jackson declared early for the NFL. He thought he had better chances against NFL defenses than
Lamar Jackson couldn't compete against the LSU defense. He looked atrocious in that bowl loss that Louisville took, which is one of my proudest moments. But Rob, who you got?
So JB knows who I'm going to pick because I'm not a Kentucky football fan. My secondary college basketball team growing up was Kentucky because I had family from there. So I despise everything Louisville. So even if I thought Louisville was better, I would not pick them. I'm going to Kentucky.
Sounds good. I also am going Kentucky because they are the second best team in the East. Well, the third best. I'll put them behind Florida. I'll say that game was not indicative of which team was better. I don't know that the better team won that game, but it's close between those two. So, yeah, I think that Kentucky could legitimately compete for a conference title in any other conference. So, yeah, I've got Kentucky in this one, and I think that it's more or less a blowout. It's gonna be ugly.
What's funny about Louisville though is you mentioned Lamar Jackson, and I think we're seeing nowadays that the stats that he was putting up. I mean, and he looked so good in what he was doing, but the kid was running for his life, man. Like, Louisville was just so bad. So we're
not a good team.
No. So anyway, just
not good at all. But I think that wraps it up for everything that I wanted to cover. If y'all have any last second comments to make, speak now or forever hold your peace.
I think it's time to go to that Alex Smith video, man.
Let's do it.
All right,
And
hold
here's your warning. If you don't want to watch somebody's leg snap in two, then you should probably bow out now. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Hopefully my internet is good enough for y'all to see it happen. But anyway, here we go.
Fortunately, I've got what looks like very bad news for the Washington Redskins. Alex Smith suffers a tricky, it's a gruesome leg injury. You're going to see a replay. Look away. It is a
Oh man, that's gnarly.
has broken his leg. In the city where Joe Theismann's terrible injury.
Oh, that's gnarly. That's intense, man. Oh, that's intense.
Mhm.
Man.
Yeah.
I love how the guy was like, "We're gonna show a gruesome replay. Look away." Like,
Like, yeah, he knows he's boosting ratings.
yeah.
But there's our controversial end to this podcast. I don't know, man. At some point we crossed the line, but I don't know where that line is, and you know what? I'm happy with it. But if there's nothing else to add, then what you got, Kevin?
Yep. One more thing.
Okay.
One more thing. We are the SEC Tavern, Reformed SEC
We are.
Tavern.
Yep.
And so
Oh, we are.
I don't know if you guys listen to the Fine Bomb show. But Tammy, the caller from Clanton, Alabama, she's a big Auburn fan. She died in a car accident the other day.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so R.I.P. Tammy. Prayers out to her family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I hate to hear that, but yeah. At the end of the day, this is all just fun and games, and you know, really, we don't do this for the football side of it. We do this, as we said in week one, that we do this ultimately for the glory of God, and we hope to glorify God in all that we do. And thoughts and prayers with that family, and yeah, that's tough to hear. And the Fine Bomb show has lost a pretty big piece of itself. So I hate to hear that. And maybe Auburn will play lights out because of it.
Win one for Tammy.
Win one for Tammy. There you go. And just one for the skipper. But, all right.
Hey, real quick, I want to
have
give
a question. Kevin, JR, y'all are not baptizing your babies, right?
Absolutely not. A sprinkle.
Believer's baptism.
Gosh, I love you fellers. All right, brothers and sisters, it's been a pleasure to have these guys on. It's been a long show, but I'm going to chalk that up to it being Thanksgiving week. We're having a Thanksgiving blowout. We will see you probably not this Thursday, but the next. And so yeah, we had to give you enough show to last you for 2 weeks. So yeah,
we haven't even gone over what we're thankful for yet.
Exactly. I don't think that we really need to do that. We've already gone an hour and a half. So let's wrap it up here, brothers and sisters. It's been a pleasure to have you on, viewing, watching, interacting. Thank you for your questions, your comments. Thank you for your ribbing of our teams, and it's been a lot of fun. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and remember, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. And we will see you in the tavern. Good night, everybody.